All right, guys, I'm back for another year here on our channel, breaking down some East Carolina football opponents, getting ready for NC State starting in a couple of weeks. And, uh, I have limited access to film from NC State last year, but I do have the coach's copy of NC State and Clemson, both offense and defense. So most of our little short videos will be on themes I saw in this game that I think will carry over to the opener. Um, not this Saturday, but the next, and just watching this game and trying to take a look at, a preview of what state returns offensively and defensively, and where I think they'll try to exploit um, the Pirates. So I think it'll start number one. We talked about on our defensive preview podcast was uh, who fills the void of Jaquan McMillan. And here I've brought in three clips from NC State versus Clemson, where they're really going to put your corners in conflict, both in coverage and in the run game. And these three plays, I think, symbolize everything that Malik Fleming and DeMille Hickman and whoever else is put out there for ECU in the opener, what they'll have to be ready for. So, one of the first things is like Clemson, ECU is going to play a lot of their defense in split safety coverage, meaning you could be playing one coverage on this half of the football and a completely different one on this half of the football, meaning one side might be playing a cover four quarters concept, another side might be playing a cover two concept. Um, that's not foreign. I think most people that base in a two safety defense specialize in the variations of cover four and cover two, which of course the Pirates have played a lot of. One thing that really puts stress on these formations is condensed splits. What State has done a really good job of over the course of the last couple of years is combining college RPO theories that you see prevalent at places like Wake Forest. Of course, ECU does a little bit of it. Um, Everybody in the country is doing a little bit of it, but State still has a very pro style flavor into what they do. But their basic kind of cornerstone run scheme is the stretch run, the wide zone, whatever you want to call it, which is still the most popular run in the NFL, and it's catching up in college football for that matter. And another thing that State does that is very pro style oriented is these condensed sets that create three and two man bunches, or they condense the entire formation down. And one of the advantages of doing this is oftentimes it puts these receivers here, whether or not it's this three man bunch down here at the bottom or this tight receiver in sets, to be able to uh, basically get to second levels, or crack block safeties a little bit easier. So you see why you do this, and what that often does is it puts corners in a situation where they must crack replace, meaning if this guy was going to come down in here and crack this safety, this corner might be backpedaling thinking it's a slant route, but because he's now blocking your bonus linebacker in the fit down here, this corner's got to replace off of this crack block. Or they can block this end out here and they can get a big body out here arcing on a corner in some type of wide zone or toss play or speed option mode. The other thing that they know that it takes advantage of is that defenses often study what passing concepts come out of these bunch sets, and really the base way um, that you're taught from a defensive standpoint of a two man or a three man bunch concept is somebody's going in, somebody's going out, and if there's a third guy, that guy's probably coming vertical. So in the route distribution, somebody's probably coming here. Somebody's probably coming in here. Let's put a two here. And then somebody's probably coming down to the side. So the most famous three-man triangle combo would be maybe this guy on some type of corner route. Sorry, I know this drawing is not great. Maybe this guy on a snag and then this guy coming to the flat. Well, knowing that, a lot of times defenses teach their guys to play what they call an IO coverage, an in-out coverage, meaning this corner is going to take the first guy out, the safety is going to take the first guy vertical, and the linebackers are going to sort out whoever comes in that average. Okay, but the problem is that you get a little soft in the run game because they know that oftentimes you're going to backpedal this guy up to protect against the vertical, and you're going to widen this guy out to protect against it. So it really creates some soft seams right here in the run game for C gaps and D gaps. So these condensed splits can cause a lot of problems. And we look at this first rep that we're watching. State is running a wide zone. This is the stretch play, lead stretch weak. Okay, so they're trying to create a combo block on the guard in the center, probably to this linebacker. This tackle is going to try and reach block this 5 technique. And then this receiver out here is going to be in what we call an MDM, a most dangerous man. So if he thinks this corner's a threat, he'll block him. If he sees him backpedaling and this guy inverts down, he will then come off of that block and he will try and crack block this safety that's coming down. Well, Clemson makes a really good adjustment to this tight set. Instead of worrying about the crack replace, instead of playing cover 4, where you're going to backpedal this guy and you're going to insert this safety with the tight split, Clemson is making what I would call in defense a clip call, meaning we're going to go from safety force with this safety coming down to fit the run and this corner backpedaling like this in cover 4. They're making a clip call to where now this corner can sit here and play a little bit harder on the wide run, and this safety is going to deepen up and play over the top of this receiver. This is something you saw ECU do quite a bit with Jaquan McMillan last year on a tight split, that we're just going to say, okay, we're not going to worry about you deep. We're going to play the safety over the top. And with this condensed split, we're outside leverage. So it allows this guy to come up and play the run right here. Another thing that Clemson's doing in the run, when you watch the end zone shot, this defensive end, even though he's lined up in the C gap, he's calling, when he hears this clip call, he's playing what you call a fist technique. And this is a pretty interesting way to do it. When you hear clip, 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 okay, I know I've now got help outside of me. My help's not behind me, so I can send this ball sideways. So instead of playing and being responsible for this C gap, once he plays this reach block that's coming at him right now, he's going to actually just try and get penetration through the inside shoulder and cause this ball, instead of being able to hit here in this C gap, it's now going to have to widen and bubble, and that corner can now make the play on the line of scrimmage. That's a really good job. I believe that's Miles Murphy. Now, this becomes a whole lot easier to execute when you have the man children that Clemson has. But that's a nice job by that cornerback. Fitting, it's a good adjustment by the coaches on the clip call, and the corner who's going to get put into these situations having to come down here. Again, another condensed formation up at the top. All right. But you've got a normal split down here at the bottom. Now, as opposed to what Clemson was in last time, where you saw 2 safeties on the roof, where you had one guy back here, another guy on this hash, and you only had 1 overhang. Now they're going with 2 overhangs, and they've rotated the other safety down here in the strong side apex. So what that means is when you only have 1 safety on the roof, okay, now these corners have really got to be back, whether or not they're in man-to-man on these receivers or they're playing a cover 3 concept. Cover 3 meaning we're going to have 3 deep defenders responsible for the deep thirds of the field. This guy's going to be responsible for the deepest part from this hash to the sideline. This safety is going to be responsible for the middle third, and this corner is going to be responsible for the other third. But again, when you get the horde, cover 3 becomes very, very susceptible to horizontal stretches by meaning they know they've got two flat force defenders now down. It's much better against the run because now you have these four plus these four. You have essentially an 8-man front, but you're going to create a horizontal stretch on this flat defender. So when he gets flat, that's going to open up this curl scat window, but that corner cannot squeeze as much. So you know you're going to be a little bit more susceptible to underneath throws. But again, the ability to get down there and take it. So it's pick your poison. Do you want to give up the deep balls in cover 2, cover 4, make yourself a little bit more vulnerable, or do you want to be better against the run, but you might not be as good in horizontal stretch coverage? All right, so that's another thing we've got to watch for. Now, heading back on some more of these theories, Clemson's back here in a 2-high safety structure. This is one thing you can do to help yourself alleviate against the pass game. But again, this is something Clemson can absolutely get away with because they have absolute man children inside. So Clemson is essentially in a 6-man fit right here, despite NC State having 5 offensive linemen plus a tight end in the core. They are 6 for 6. When you include the back and the quarterback, Clemson is completely outnumbered in the run game. So what most people would do in this situation, you would say the +1 defender has to come from either the safety or the nickel star, or you're going to insert this safety inside. All right, Clemson is saying we can hold up with 6, which is obviously a huge advantage, but this does help you. This is a really good call on 2nd and long, 3rd and long. Clemson is playing what we call cover 6 bracket. It's a split field coverage, so you're going to play cover 2 up here to this side, to the top side of the field, meaning you're going to have a hard corner and you're going to be able to play this safety in cover 2 off the hash up here. All right, this is something that East Carolina did quite a bit with Jaquan McMillan last year. He was as good of a cover 2 corner as East Carolina's had. And then down here at the bottom, they're going to play cover 4 bracket. Okay, so what bracket means is we're going to create an in and out combination on this man alone, that if he goes vertical, then we will have 2 guys on him. This guy will carry him in with his outside shoulder, and then this guy will be inside of him. So very, very strong against anything on the slot. If this guy goes out, as he does in this route distribution, he will take him. And now the bracket will come with the corner and the safety now on this receiver down here at the bottom of the screen. So essentially you have 2 safeties, and neither one of them in cover 6 bracket are responsible for being in the run fit. So this is obviously a very good call against the pass. So State drops back, you get them in a drop back pass. This is awesome. You're basically playing this guy on any underneath route with the safety's help over the top. But again, depending on how much this corner wants to get involved with this safety up top, if he funnels him inside, he can actually see this and rally up. Again, though, the corner is getting put in a situation where he's got to come up and make a one-on-one tackle. We saw it on the first play when he got caught up in the clip call. He had to come up and tackle a running back on the stretch. Here in cover 6, the corner's got to be able to come out and make a play right here in the flat. Now, let's say you're in cover 4 here. What would have to happen is this safety does not have a number 2 receiver, or his number 2 is in the backfield. So we would create a bracket or a cone on number 1, which would mean both this guy and this guy would be out. So the guy who would be responsible for taking this back out in the flat now would be this will linebacker. All right. So if you were in a cover 4 concept, you would either have this will or this safety coming down to take this flare, but because you're in cover 6, you do have a corner who's got this play leverage. So that's a very good job right here by the cornerback. Last play going to show is here are the vulnerabilities of playing split field coverage and where your corners are going to be put on an island. Even when you play cover 6, you do have this guy down here double teamed, but to the 2 receiver side up top, you have a 3/2 combination. Okay, so I have the nickel star right here. I have the free safety, and I have this field corner up here, 1-on-1. This is something that NC State is going to look at from last year's Appalachian game, and they're going to try and exploit East Carolina on it, really. And this is the Steve Spurrier special. This route distribution, or this route combination, he called Mills, Mills, forever, because the guy who always called the post route when he first got to Florida was a guy named Ernie Mills. So what you're trying to do here is you're trying to create the bracket on the number 2 receiver where he's essentially going to go to 10 yards, and he's either going to hook up, or if he feels man, he's going to run a dig across of it. And they're basically, the quarterback's going to come back and he's going to read this safety. If this safety keeps pedaling off, he's now going to work the dig route and he's going to throw it. But if this safety latches on the dig, you're going to run a skinny post route behind it. This is the hardest coverage or the hardest route distribution to cover at corner, is the Mills route, is the Mills combination. So when you watch it up top, you're going to see the number 2 receiver right here basically run the hookup route right here. Leary sees this safety latch, and now you've got this Z receiver basically with all this space to now run away from a cornerback who is now in outside leverage. This is a big boy throw. You want to put it right on the hash. That's a pretty good throw, probably a little bit inside. Still not bad coverage, but a perfect throw would have been a touchdown. So, State's going to take their shots downfield. So cornerback play going to be paramount. Going to have to keep State from hitting the home run ball, but you're going to have to do it, hopefully that the corners don't have to get too involved in the run game. But if they do, they're going to have to hold up in one-on-one coverage, because State has a offensive game that really complements itself with the stretch run game and the play action pass over the top. Hope you guys enjoy, and we'll see you more as we get ready for game day.